This episode's audio is going to be filmed straight into the GH5's preamp. The tilde scream section in the beginning, as well as this message right now, is actually being recorded into my Tascam DR40 in a non-treated room with a lawnmower going on outside. There will be no background music in this review, so you can hear the audio quality coming straight from the Rode Wireless Go. There will be minimal post-processing, just a gain bump and a limiter. Tilde! What is this? This is the Rode Wireless Go lavalier kit. How much does it cost? Approximately $200. It's so portable, all you need is the receiver, transmitter, and auxiliary cable, because it's got a built-in microphone. However, you can use your own wired lavalier mic if you so choose. Operates on the 2.4 GHz frequency. Up to 7 hours of use on a single charge. It's so simple, you literally plug it in and you're ready to go. Do I recommend this? Seriously, yes. Done. Roll that intro. What's going on, everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker, where the answers comes first, the reasons come last, but we're constantly and always still learning. So today we're going to find out whether or not the Rode Wireless Go is going to be the right wireless audio solution for you and your filmmaking needs. And I'm here to tell you right now, yes it is, and I'm going to tell you the top 4 things that Rode thought of to ensure that this is a no-brainer. Let's go. The first thing that Rode thought of was they needed to make sure this thing was so portable that you have no reason not to bring it with you. So what they did was they designed a really tiny, small transmitter and receiver unit. You'll notice that there's no antennas protruding out, which makes it easier to store and pack away. They also have a built-in microphone on the transmitter, so you don't actually have to bring your own wired lavalier mic if you don't want to. In fact, the built-in mic is actually quite good because you're listening to it right now clipped onto my shirt. The next thing that they wanted to make sure was you don't need to bring a hot shoe adapter if you don't want to. This little belt clip back here doubles and actually fits into the hot shoe. So the last thing you really need to bring is just the included auxiliary cable that goes right into your DSLR. Now everything comes in a nice little neoprene carrying pouch, which is quite nice, and it also includes 2 wind mufflers should you find yourself in a windy situation like this. And just like that, we are now out in the park, and you might be wondering why I would choose to be out here reviewing this instead of inside a studio environment. Okay, I changed it up a little bit. I have the wind muff on here now, so hopefully that's going to kill off the sound a little bit. Now, according to some other reviews, the wind muff does pop off really easily, and Rode is actually working on something. So if you've already got set, they are going to provide some sort of fix in terms of sending you out another unit. The second thing that Rode thought of was they wanted to make sure this thing was extremely simple to operate, literally plug and play. I'm not kidding you when I tell you this. When you receive your box, open it up, turn on both of the transmitter and receiver. They're already automatically going to be paired to each other, so you don't really have to sync anything. Click on the dB button over here to figure out what output level you want. You can either be at unity with 0 dB, -6, or -12. For a GH5, -12 or -6 is going to be where you're going to want to be at because this thing runs hot. And then plug in your auxiliary cord and you're good to go. That's literally how fast you can get up and going right out of the box, assuming that the units are charged. Now, they do a couple more things under the hood to ensure that it's simple. So this thing operates at the 2.4 gigahertz band, which is public and anyone can use it, so you don't have to worry about going into a country and using an illegal frequency and get caught and get into trouble. Not only that, the technology inside these things are constantly monitoring that 2.4 gigahertz band to ensure that you're not going to have any interference. And because it's doing this so quickly and doing it preemptively, you pretty much won't hit any interference at all. In fact, they showed it off at the NAB trade show floor where there's plenty of 2.4 gigahertz stuff flying all over the place, and you could still hear them clearly with no interference or cutting in and out. So Rode has definitely nailed this. Now, the third thing that Rode wanted to ensure was that when you're out in the field that this thing was going to last you through your entire shoot. So these things have a built-in lithium-ion battery, and they last anywhere from 6 to 7 hours and take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to make a full charge. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, if it's a built-in battery, then I can't swap something out should I need to go right away. That is true. However, these things are charged through a USB-C. So for your sound person who might be stationed somewhere, they can either be walking around with a USB power bank, or maybe they're going through wall power, what have you, and they basically can just plug that USB into the receiver and have that receiver powered on indefinitely all day long. Your talent could be a little bit more tricky depending on how long you're shooting, because generally speaking, you might not be shooting 7 hours straight. You're gonna have a break somewhere where you can recharge these things for 30 minutes to an hour. But let's say you do need to actually have it on the person at all times. Well, they actually make some really, really thin USB power banks these days that can hold anywhere from 300 or 3000 milliamp hours all the way up to 10,000 milliamp hours. So simply put one of those into the pocket of your talent and then have a wire running into your wireless Go. And that way you can basically power that transmitter on all day long. The fourth and final thing that Rode thought of was they wanted to ensure you had options. So right now you're listening again to the built-in microphone, but should you want to use a wired lavalier mic, you have that option with the mic jack. But the thing is for $200, you already have a microphone that you can use, and you can buy cheap lavalier mics, which I'm gonna show you right now. All right, now you are listening to the really, really cheap lavalier microphone that I've been basically plugging into my GH5, and it is being plugged into the transmitter, which I now have on my belt pack down here. However, if you have other portable audio sounds or sources that you want to plug into the 3.5 millimeter jack, you can. So the most basic thing that people can do is use something like this DSLR shotgun microphone, plug it into the transmitter, and then therefore now you have a wireless shotgun microphone. That is just the most basic idea, and I'm actually gonna save all the creative ways that I can think of to use this thing next week, because I really wanna just focus on the quality of the audio and the ease of use of the Rode Wireless Go. And without further ado, let's go over some of the nerdier test stuff where you guys probably want to know about. So I'm currently in a non-sound treated room. There's something whirring outside. I think somebody is moving, and then my computer's purring in the background. So this is what it sounds like if I'm not gonna talk. Okay, while the Rode Wireless Go might seem like it has no flaws, there are a couple things that you need to think about, mainly distance when you're outside. So check this out right here. Now, one of the things in terms of the distance test is, since we're outside here, the frequencies can't really bounce anywhere and get its way back to the transmitter. So at some point when I turn my back, probably about 30 some feet away, you're not gonna be able to hear me, so I'll just keep walking. If I turn around, in theory, you should be able to hear me. So we'll take a look at that again. But if I keep walking, again, as soon as I turn around, the moment I turn around, you will be able to hear me in terms of there not being any signal drops. So when it comes to being outside here, you definitely want to have some sort of line of sight. And a couple of the tests that I did yesterday when it was much more sunny, it was, I don't know, somewhere around 100 feet or so. As long as I was looking at the camera, it should be fine. But the moment I turn around, it doesn't actually work as well. So when it comes to these kind of situations, when you're outside, it's probably not going to be the easiest thing to be using. But if you're inside like a conference hall or a lecture hall, that might work a little bit better. But for outside, you're definitely going to want to stay probably within 30 some feet with the camera. Now, this thing is made out of durable plastic, and all plastic can get crushed if you apply enough force. So don't think that this thing is indestructible. Now, this thing does have a built-in lithium-ion battery, which means you pretty much can't really replace it yourself. So I'm not sure if Rode is going to have a battery replacement program depending on how heavily you use this, or potentially, maybe moving forward, by the time the batteries finally do die, the second generation's going to come out. And I am so excited if Rode is creating a second generation, because here are some things that I would love for you to do, Rode. So if you're listening, this would be awesome. What if you added a micro SD card into the transmitter so that it's recording indefinitely all day long? So what I mean by this is, what happens if you do cut out somewhere? that audio is lost. Well, it would be awesome if there is a thing that's constantly recording, then hey, you would be good to go. There's a safety. Not only that, if you're a wedding videographer, having that thing this small recording in the groom's pocket, and when you turn on the camera and record, you can actually get the transmission feed, but otherwise you can still get audio that you might have missed. I think that would be very awesome. I'm not sure how they can implement this because I'm sure there's a reason why they didn't do it, but if the second generation had a micro SD card slot, awesome. Not only that, if they made this thing out of metal, that would be even cooler because it would be extremely durable and basically handle anybody's roughness in their kit. And lastly, if they're not going to make it metal, can a third-party person create some sort of metal cage on the outside edges so that it doesn't get crushed? Email me if you guys want to do some kind of venture like that, because I think that would be really cool because of a certain thing that I want to do with this thing creatively. Now, one thing that you need to consider when investing in the Rode Wireless Go is that this thing was meant to be on your DSLR camera and basically for DSLR cameras. So if you want to plug it into your phone for your vlogging needs, then you're going to need to get a TRS to a TRRS cable. Or if you have a sound person that has a traditional sound recorder, then you're going to need to buy yourself some additional XLR adapters to plug into the sound recorder. Now, I have the Rode VXLR Plus, which supplies phantom power if I turn phantom power on. But if I don't, then this thing still works like a regular adapter. You don't actually need this specific version because this one is more expensive, so you can just get yourself a regular 3.5mm to an XLR adapter. Okay, so who's this Rode Wireless Go for exactly? I think the Rode Wireless Go can fit a whole lot of applications, and I'm only going to cover a couple of them because I do believe that this thing is a narrative filmmaker's dream kit, and we're going to talk about that next week. But if you're a vlogger, definitely. The fact that you can clip this onto you and have clean audio of you talking the whole time, that's what we want. The shotgun mic on your DSLR might not necessarily always capture you all the time or in the best possible way, especially if you want to walk away and lock your camera off. So this thing is something that I think a vlogger should have. Narrative filmmaking, definitely so. In terms of just getting audio, you can get very nice clean dialogue. And you might be saying, well, wait a minute, if you're 30 feet away and you turn around, we're going to get cut off. Yes, if you are outside and you're recording audio directly into your camera. If you're not and you have a dedicated sound person, the sound person doesn't have to be 30 feet away. They just have to be out of the framing of your shot. So as long as they're out of the framing and they're close by, then you shouldn't have a problem. Now, if you do a lot of corporate videos, that should be fine too, because you're just doing interviews up close. But if you're doing lectures where you're really far away and you have to, I don't know, maybe you're 150 feet away, zoomed all the way in, and your sound person is not going to be sitting up there with everybody else, that is where I'm not sure. Because outdoors here, it definitely is a risk, because if they turn around, you're screwed. But when you're indoors, you might be okay because the signals can bounce around a little bit to get back to your receiver. So what's the bottom line here? The bottom line is for $200, you have this extremely portable setup, this extremely simple to operate microphone that you really don't have to do a whole lot of. Not only that, this thing's audio quality is really, really good. It's loud. So if your preamps in a Canon camera is not that great, you can definitely pump out a good hot signal to that camera. But on a GH5, you actually have to tone it down. So it's great that you have the options of basically using it on any sort of camera. I also love that it has that mic input so that I can use a wired lavalier kit if I want to for interviews and such, because chances are they don't want me to actually clip it onto somebody. So I love that Rode has given you options. Now, some people are going to say, well, should I get the Sennheiser XSW or should I get the Rode Wireless Go? When you put both of them together, yes, there's a couple differences, but the thing is when it comes to pricing, if you bought yourself the Sennheiser or the M2 lavalier mic, I think, you're basically putting yourself close to the exact same price point. But the Rode is a little bit different in terms of that it does have a little screen on the front that tells you everything like battery life and whether or not the talent is clipping the mic or not. So There's so many little things here that I think makes it better than the XSW from Sennheiser. But from what I can tell, and Max Yuryev did an awesome review against the two, it does seem that the XSW does better in terms of the distance test. So it's kind of pick your poison, and I think all things considered, both of the systems might actually be good in your kit. But for a lot of us that want something that's high quality, affordable, wireless audio solution, I can highly, highly recommend the Rode Wireless Go. And hey, that's it for this week, everybody. Do not miss next week's video where I'm going to show you a bunch of creative ways of how you can use this Rode Wireless Go. And if this video has made all the influence in your purchasing decisions, I would really appreciate it if you check out my affiliate links down below. Again, this costs nothing extra to you. It just gives me a little compensation so I can continue making videos like this for you. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave it down below. I will get to them as fast as I can. And until then, like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you guys in the next one.